My name is Halima Idris. I am 14 years old. I lost my parents when I was young, and now I live with my grandmother. Halima was a little girl when her father died, so I brought her here to help me sell kola nut. To take care of me, she gives me kola nut to hawk, and when I'm done hawking, I go to Islamic school. I'll make her sell so we can have enough to eat. My name is Hamadu Adi. I used to live in an Islamic school in the village. While I was there, I used to beg in the streets, car park and petrol station.
Arabani zamu yaba annabi saraka sabira Allah da annabi saraka sabira ya tsidi balarabe mu dan bagadi kanu.
When we go out to beg, some people will give you, some people will just make fun of you and insult you. I stopped begging on the streets. I started begging from house to house. That was where I met the woman who offered me jobs, like fetching water and running errands for her. In return, she gave me food to eat.
We are bringing food from us, then pupils from Kaduna, from Katsina, and from Niger. We have different children coming from different parts, and we teach them. And we thank God also the different ways we use to teach these children is from what our parents taught us, what we have been taught, that we actually communicate to them.
IQTE stands for Islamia, Quranic and Tsangaya education, and it's nothing more than the provision of basic education. That is an attempt to enhance equity and access to basic education, where literacy and numeracy is being taught to disadvantaged children, children who wouldn't have gone to the walls of conventional primary school if not for the SBN intervention.
It's an action or to cook a food.
To be specific, they are the children who only attend the Quranic, that is Makaranta Allo, Tsangaya, and the non-integrated Islamia schools. These are the category of children that the IQTE of SBN program is looking at, so that they have the literacy and numeracy rudimentary skills to enable them to compete favorably with other children who would have attended the conventional school program.
There are two types of families. nuclear family and extended family.
So the Malams were asked to identify individuals whom they believe can work on this program. The minimum qualification we required that such individuals should have is a secondary school certificate. And then when the Malams identified those group of people, both male and female, they were tested in writing and then orally. And then the competent ones were selected to serve as the community teachers.
1, 2. That is a proper.
After that was done, we provided all the required teaching materials, and then we also identified the venues along with the Malams. The Malams gave us places because SBN had no provision to pay for any venue, and then we had a continuous regular training with the teachers while the schools were opened.
The extended family is a larger family made of father, mother, children, grandparents, uncles, auntie. It is.
Now, when this Western education came in, it was a bit difficult for us to accept it.
The secret behind it is to have the key, the gatekeepers at your own hands. And how did we do that? We did it through continuous sensitization, lobbying, and mobilization of the Malams. And apart from that, we ask them to be there whenever the program is taking place, so that they can see exactly what is happening. You know, if somebody is suspicious of what you are doing and you leave your door open, he can directly go there and see what is happening.
Because we were arguing on the fact that this was what our parents have taught us in the past. We don't understand this system of education, and we felt we wanted to destroy the tradition we have actually acquired over the years. That is how Halima also was selling kola nuts, hawking kola nuts, and then she saw that the school was going on, so she went back and told her grandmother that she saw a school where they taught people in English, so she wanted to be a part of this.
She stopped me from hawking so I can attend the Western education school and also the Islamic school. The reason I put her in school is for her to make progress in life, get a job, either as a doctor or as a teacher. We will be grateful to God for that. And also, she will help us make progress and also help her younger ones. I noticed the school teaching English and I decided to join them. All my books and writing materials were given to me free. I didn't buy any of them, and that encouraged me to keep going.
Even those very educated teachers from outside of this place, I like to go in and sit with them and listen to what they are being, what is being taught, so that I could actually learn for myself as well.
Because of the introduction of this Western education, I am now able to speak good and proper English.
They are able to pronounce their names, they can write them down. If you ask them questions in English, they can answer some of the questions. But as you know, life changes and things change. Our children are desirous of the Western education. For a child to be able to read things on the phone, he must be able to read. And if he wants to go to a place where they said, do not urinate, and because he cannot read, he will not know, and he'll be arrested. Now you see, so we're actually inculcating this form of education so that they could actually be able to relate with the general public, and by this we're able to attain education and development. So we were taking 20 people out of them for a test, and then she was able, 20 of them were able to pass, and all of them have moved on to secondary school from the primary school, and Halima is among them.
They asked me to write a test, and by the grace of God, I passed. And I moved on to secondary school, and now I'm in GSS 1C.
What we use is a national curriculum, because our goal at the end of the day is that these children, when they complete their own course of study, they will also sit for either what was called the Common Entrance Examination or the State Transition Examination, so that at the end of the day, if found competent, they can also mainstream into the JSS. And we believe with that, they can be able to pursue their education to the highest level they feel they can.
If you remember, from the beginning of this week, we began to analyze ourselves as new teachers, to make a safe reflection, to know who we are, and how do we begin teaching. Can you remember that? Yeah. And that's what we call philosophy of education.
So we maintain a periodic training program. We have a total of 19 modules. And these models are spread into phases, whereby we begin with a continuous training on monthly basis, at least for the first 6 months, which means that modules 1 to 6 are taught in the first 6 months, and then we continue with the subsequent modules from 7 to 12, where we increase the period of training to 2 months. So we do that bi-monthly, and then from 13 to 19 we do it on quarterly basis. So you can see that we have a whole plan for training to make sure that the standard is maintained.
Make them as practical as possible, because that is what we want to see. And now Mala Ali will give us hints, some guidelines of what do we observe in each presentation.
The monitoring is also very, very important. This is where we involved SUBEB and the LGA people as well as the community, so that they can go on a regular basis to monitor what is happening, to ensure that the teachers are there, they are teaching what they are supposed to teach at the agreed time, and at the same time the children are attending. And that does not stop ESPN from also monitoring to see that what it has said is being observed as desired or planned.
And then we have gone further this year by working together with the ESPN to introduce the teaching skills program, whereby over 16,000 teachers, primary 1, primary 2, primary 3 teachers that are teaching English and mathematics are participating in this training, or they are benefiting this training, and it's going to go on throughout this session.
There are 2 programs that we do to support both the Malams in the Tsangaya schools, as well as the mothers of the children that attend the Islamia program. When we started, we had this fear that the program may not be accepted or it cannot be sustained even when started. And we started gradually. What we thought was we should provide some kind of incentive apart from the provision of the literacy and numeracy. And then it was the feeding program we had. Initially they were doing 5 days of training, and then they have this Thursday being the longest day of training, because on Thursdays there are no Islamic studies or Islamic activities. So they stay for 5 hours. So what we thought will sustain these children is to give them some kind of feeding. So we were feeding the children. But right at the onset, we told them that it will not be forever, or it will not go till the end of the SPM program, but it's just an experiment for a period of 6 months. And then when the time came, we ceased the provision of the feeding money, which we used to give through the malams, and the malam was cooking the food for the children. Of course, some malams felt very bad, and to the extent of withdrawing from the program, withdrawing some of their children. So we now sat down and said, what could be a more sustainable thing? And then collectively we thought of giving some farming inputs to the malams, so that the malams could farm things by themselves, produce and be able to use part of this produce to feed the children. And this is how the farming program has continued. So they were provided with farming input in terms of fertilizer, seedlings, and even technical advice in terms of hiring a consultant and extension workers who oversee the running of their farming activities.
We also went with, they also gave me farmers, they also gave us farmers, and then we implemented by using these fertilizers, and they taught us how to use them properly. And they came back and checked also how productive, and if there was any problem and if there was anything wrong, they told us how to go about it. And God in His infinite mercy, when it was time to harvest, what I got was 103 bags. And you are witnesses, you saw it. We saw 103 bags.
So most of the malams, or all of the malams, use part of the produce that they make to feed the children, so that the children no longer go out to beg. And then in compensation to that, what we thought should be done for the women, for the Islamia school program, is also to support the mothers. So in supporting the mothers, we thought of some vocational skills that could generate some form of income for the mothers. Since we realized that the mothers send out their children to work to earn some income, we said it will be a better thing to give the mothers some kind of skills so that they can do these activities indoors and then get some money that they could use to support the education of their children. And this is what we do with the Islamia pilot program, assisting the mothers of the girls who attend the Islamia program. They chose different skills by themselves, and then using that information, we provided all the necessary equipment and materials, as well as take responsibility of paying the teachers who give them the skills. And currently, we are working with 15 such Islamia schools across the SPIN 3 focal LGS, and over 400 women are benefiting from the program. They are being taught different skills, as I mentioned, and I'm happy to say that quite a number of them have come to attest that, yes, from the skills they have gotten, they are now being able to produce a number of things which they sell out and make some income, and they are happy to now send their daughters to school, and they have even vowed not to send their daughters to work anymore.
The way we see Halima, she's very calm, so we're praying that she goes on and read in school, and God help her, if possible she becomes a doctor or a head of a school, or no problem if she comes back to this community school and become helpful to us as well.
I want to advise other parents to take Halima as an example and encourage them to allow their girl children to go to school.
sannu banda kabalan jira biyayyen bawan Allah sai mu je wajen annabi Dauda sai mu je wajen annabi Yusuf
I want to be a doctor so I could help people, especially the sick. Just the way I've been helped by the people who brought about this program.
The outcome in terms of what the children are being able to achieve, especially in the area of literacy and numeracy, is very glaring and is what is motivating the malams. Because you hear the malams saying, oh, the children were not able to hold a pen, but within this period of time they have been able to write. They can identify little things, they can be able to write some things, they can be able to read some things. And I remember one school I visited, the madam is saying, Adia, you have conquered my school. I said, how did I conquer your school? He said, look at all the walls of this school. It's now Boko, not Arabic scripts on the wall. All my children are writing in Boko. And if anything comes to me in terms of Boko, I don't have any trouble asking somebody, an outsider, to come and tell me what is there. But I ask my children to do that.
We want to say a huge thank you to God, and we can go anywhere in the neighborhood and then we're accepted because we have the right things to do. We know the right things to do and the right places to go. And we want to also look at the way they look at the way the children, how presentable they are and how healthy they are. All thanks to the Western education, because of this Western education.
I was saying our plan is to identify all these relevant individuals in the state, discuss with them the need to come to support this program, especially in the provision of teaching and learning materials. It could be for the payment of the teachers' allowances, which is not much. And they could also look at it from the point of providing some scholarship, as ESPN has started for the children, so that any successful child whose parent is not able to pay for his education, the individuals can be able to pay for them. And our plan is also to discuss with the Islamic Education Development Bank, because we have information that they support in this direction, so that they could be able to assist, since we understand that the level of poverty, especially at the rural level, is very high. We have seen a typical example in the case of these certain children whom have gotten the opportunity to continue with their education, but because of the level of poverty, their parents cannot afford. And if this should continue, I think it will demoralize others, because they will be citing those as an example. Because this is what is happening, that people have gone to school to some point, but what is the benefit? They cannot continue, they cannot go further, and even if they have gone further, when they finish, what next? What happens? So we have to really work hard to make sure that these people are mobilized in such a way that they will see the need to assist, especially the needy ones, people from the poor family, to be able to read further and to be able to become something else, that they will be able to support their immediate communities as well as the larger community.
I am appealing to my colleagues in other states to key into this program and see how they can make it another success story in their own various states. With that, we will reduce greatly the number of out-of-school children, or the number of children that we are not able to reach and provide basic education for.
If we are able to bring it out and sell it properly, the world is changing, things are changing, so we should also, even the Quran is progressive, so we are advising them to come and embrace this new system of education and And even if they are sending them to the Islamic school, they should also send them to this school. And the females also should be allowed to come to school. People who have not accepted this system of education. Truly, I want to thank God for this great opportunity to be here and to develop this type of education. I want to encourage all those of us who own Islamic schools. They should please accept this system of education. And because me, I have actually accepted it and I've seen beautiful things. I have gotten good results. If they say good education is not important to us, if our parents are sick and they are looking for help, we also go to these people who have this Western education. That's where we always go to. Our women, even the way we say we are watching after them, at the end of the day, they will still go to these people who have this Western education and they will touch them. And we are saying we don't want it. But if we decide to take this system of education for ourselves, we will be able to treat our people by ourselves, and we will still preserve our education, our culture.
Kun ka mana ci gaba, kun ka mana. Hello, Espin, fantastic.